Classmates, hello everyone. We will study the course of tea processing together. I am your teacher, Yu Jun. In this course, we will study the development history of tea production and tea. This part comprises the following four aspects: their origin and development of tea drinking, origin of 6 categories of tea, development of tea production, and spread of tea production technology. Origin and development of tea drinking. The history of Chinese tea processing shares the same origin with that of Chinese culture. Legend has it that Shen Nong ever tasted different herbs. When one day he encountered 72 kinds of poisonous herbs, he was intoxicated with tea. This was the earliest version of the origin of tea drinking. According to historical research, tea drinking in China has evolved from picking and consumption of fresh tea leaves, from boiling and drinking to collection after drying, from steaming of raw tea to compressed tea in the shapes of dragons and phoenix, from compressed tea to loose leaf tea, from steaming of raw tea to frying of raw tea, from green tea to other categories of tea, from plain tea to flower-scented tea. This is how tea drinking has developed. There are many categories of tea in China. There are also a lot of classification methods. However, it's known and widely recognized by us that by the luster and processing method of tea, tea is classified into 6 categories, including green tea, yellow tea and dark tea, white tea, black tea, and oolong tea. Green tea was the earliest tea in history. Steamed green tea originated in Tang Dynasty. Fried green tea emerged in Tang Dynasty and became mature in Ming Dynasty. Yellow tea originated in Tang Dynasty. There appeared yellow in variety and quality. Dark tea originated in the Mid-Ming Dynasty. White tea originated in Tang and Song dynasties and became mature in Ming Dynasty. In the boiling of spring water by Tian Yihang in Ming Dynasty, it was recorded that Buddha tea is the best when dried naturally, which is better than that dried with fire. This is about white tea. Black tea originated in late Ming Dynasty. There are relatively more varieties of black tea by the processing method and shape of tea produced. Black tea is generally classified into Shaojiang black tea, Kung Fu black tea, and broken black tea. Oolong tea originated in late Ming Dynasty and early Qing Dynasty. Oolong tea is the most distinctive variety of tea amongst all categories of Chinese tea. Let's take a look at the development of tea production industry. Raw tea has to be processed into commodities. Tea processing evolves from manual operation to machinery production. After thousands of years of development, its history can be roughly divided into 4 periods. The first period was the origin of tea production, going from the era of Shen Nong to late Tang Dynasty. The second period was the developing stage of tea production, going from 961 to 1368 AD. This period witnessed the transition from steamed compressed tea to fried loose leaf tea. The third period witnessed the reform of tea production, going from 1368 to around 1700 AD, namely the period from Ming Dynasty to Qing Dynasty in China. Tea production developed from fried green tea to various teas. There appeared a complete variety of tea. The fourth period marked the beginning of use of machinery, going from 19th century to date. Currently, the use of machinery has been quite mature and common in tea production. Even smaller tea enterprises have also used machinery. Historically, tea products and processing technology vary significantly in different periods. In the Guanya by Zhang Yi, a native of Wei in the Three Kingdom period, there is such a record. Folks in border regions of Sichuan and Hubei produced compressed tea by adding sticky rice paste. Before drinking, they grilled the tea until it turned red. Later, they ground the tea into powder and put it in chinaware, and then poured boiled water onto the tea powder and added some scallion or ginger. Drinking it could dispel the effect of alcohol and keep one refreshed. This indicates that when tea was introduced into diet, as Lu Yu said afterwards, it was added with ingredients like scallion, ginger, and orange peel, and made into a drink or a soup. It was like boiling vegetables into a soup. It was used to quench one's thirst or consumed with a meal. From Tang Dynasty to Song Dynasty, tribute tea was emerging gradually. The royal court had established a tribute tea house for this purpose, which is equivalent to today's tea factory. Officials were organized to study tea production technology, which had facilitated the reform of tea production. Steamed compressed tea had been gradually mature in Tang Dynasty, as recorded by the sage of tea Lu Yu in his Classic of Tea. Tea leaves are picked on fine days. Later, they are steamed, grounded, slapped, baked, punched, sealed, and the tea is dried. That is to say, tea leaves are picked on a sunny day. Later, they will go through a complete production process of steamed compressed tea, including steaming, separation, pouring, filling, slapping, releasing, breaking and drying, punching, baking, stringing, sealing. After these steps, the straw taste will be removed to make the tea taste mellow. In Tang Dynasty, compressed tea had a hole at the middle for stringing, with various sizes. A big piece of compressed tea could weigh from 0.5 kilograms to 2.5 kilogram. In the Song Dynasty, tea production technology developed rapidly. There appeared ground creamy tea and waxy surface tea, and gradually decoration patterns like dragons and phoenix began to appear at the surface of compressed tea, which was called Dragon Phoenix compressed tea afterwards. The processing of Dragon Phoenix compressed tea, according to the records of Beiyuan Bilu by Zhao Ruli in Song Dynasty, went through 6 steps: steaming, squeezing, grinding, sorting, drying, curing. That's to say, after fresh tea leaves are picked back, they are soaked in water first. Later, evening bud leaves are picked out and steamed. After that, they are washed in cold water before being squeezed to remove moisture and tea juice. After that, they are put in an earthen basin and mixed with water for grinding. Then they are added into a Dragon Phoenix mold to compress into a cake, and then dried. In Song Dynasty, some steamed compressed tea was made into loose leaf tea. Beiyuan Dynasty, cake tea, Dragon Phoenix compressed tea, and loose leaf tea existed at the same time. In Ming Dynasty, Emperor Taizu of Ming Dynasty, Zhu Yuanzhang, issued an imperial edict to stop the production of dragon compressed tea. Buddha tea leaves were picked only. There were 4 kinds, called Tanchun, Xianchun, Chichun, and Sunkun. Dragon Phoenix compressed tea were abandoned and loose leaf tea began to emerge. As a result, steamed loose leaf tea became popular. Meanwhile, fried green tea became increasingly perfect in Ming Dynasty, which had been recorded in Record of Tea, Interpretation of Tea, and Explanation of Tea. Fried green tea gradually took the place of steamed green tea. There appeared a detailed requirement on tea production technology, roughly comprising steps such as moisture removal at high temperatures, kneading, repeated frying, baking, and drying. This process is quite similar to the production method of modern fried green tea. By Qing Dynasty, tea products became extremely rich. When today's 6 major categories of tea had basically formed, by the modern times, Chinese tea industry revived. As new tea products were released one after another, tea production with machinery has been mature. Some tea production has achieved continuous automation in the whole process. Tea production technology is developing in the direction of intelligence. At last, let's take a look at the spreading of tea production technology. China has a long history of tea production. According to historical records, the drying method has a history of at least 3,000 years. The manual processing of tea has a history of near 2,000 years, which was much earlier than any tea-producing country in the world. The tea production methods in other countries in the world were mostly introduced from China directly or indirectly, which had not developed until the recent century. The tea machinery manufacturing industry of China has developed rapidly in recent years. Thus far, we've developed complete continuous automated production lines for green and black tea, clean production equipment for oolong tea, large pile fermentation equipment for dark tea, and formed clean tea fine production lines. From simple machinery equipment to intelligent equipment on the cloud, and equipment for different purposes have been developed to fully facilitate the revival of Chinese tea industry. China is the only country in the world to produce 6 categories of tea, including green tea, black tea, oolong tea, dark tea, white tea, and yellow tea. How can we make Chinese tea industry develop better? A modernized production system is essential. We should enhance the scale, intensification, standardization, and greatness of tea production and processing actively build a global platform for marketing and promotion of tea, facilitate the effective connection of production, circulation, and consumption, so that good tea of China can be sold around the world, and good tea of the world can be introduced into China, thereby promoting the upgrading of global tea industry. In today's lesson, we've mainly talked about the development of tea production industry, the origin of tea drinking, the origins of 6 categories of tea, the spread of tea production technology, and other contents. Classmates, please review the contents carefully after class. See you in next class.